Will a mysterious mentor from superheroing's past end up changing the life of Superboy forever? Can this new player even be trusted? Well, let's hop into the pages of Action Comics issue number 1089 and find out together, shall we? So then, picking up directly from where the cliffhanger ending left off in the last issue, Mr. Blake, Clark's homeroom teacher, comes to the Kent farm, asking not for Clark, but for Superboy. This is a really fun scene because we're once again reminded that this whole story is an older Superman telling it, long after the fact, meaning that his commentary in the internal monologue bubbles is actually kind of hilarious. He says that at this point in his youth, no one had ever accused him of being Superman, and as such, he wasn't prepared for that kind of question. He just kind of blurts out the question if this guy works for the government, and Pa Kent ends up wincing so loud Clark can hear it. It's hilarious. As Mr. Blake explains, no, he's not a spy, he's just a man with a secret of his own, and that is that he himself is a superhero, Captain Comet. Which I was 100% correct in my guess from before. This guy, as I mentioned in a previous video, actually had the Man of Tomorrow moniker before Superman. Why is he here now, you might be wondering? Well, it seems that he's been watching the young Superboy for a long time. You see, Captain Comet has telekinesis and a small amount of precognition. He's been pretty much retired as a hero for a while, but he spends his days watching the deep dark recesses of space. And in doing so, he's managed to clock an alarming trend, and that is lots of alien worlds out there with young, all-powerful heroes, not unlike Superboy at all, rise to prominence, only to end up completely whiffing their mission for one reason or another, leading to the utter destruction of their worlds because they were unprepared. Captain Comet doesn't want the same fate to befall Superboy and Earth, and as such, he kind of positions himself as a would-be mentor to Clark. Here's the thing, as I mentioned before, this is Clark telling the story long in the future, and he says that at that point in time, he probably should have recognized all the big, bright red flags this guy has going on, mainly his cold distance from all of these horrible events, the way he talks about humanity, and how he even leverages his own small-time celebrity with Ma and Pa Kent, apparently Captain Comet having been a hero in Smallville, who appeared and disappeared after a couple decades, which again actually ends up dovetailing very nicely with what Mark Waid is doing over in his new History of the DC Universe series. The next day, understandably, Clark's mind is all over the place, so much to the point he uses his superpowers to finish his chores, even though he promised Pa he would never do such a thing out of fear of getting recognized. The idea being here that the revelations of the last couple days have really shook Clark to his core. He thought he knew where he was going. He thought he knew the place that he inhabited as it came to having powers and being a superhero. Now, not only are there other heroes running around, but there's other young heroes on other worlds who were essentially doing the exact same thing as him, and it didn't go very well. Now, at school that day during outdoor classes, Mr. Blake ends up directing the lesson maybe too directly to Clark as he talks about King Tut, the boy king with amazing power, who reshaped the world but also maybe flew a little too close to the sun, ruffled a lot of the wrong feathers, and hey Clark, are you getting this? Are you getting any of this? I'm talking about you. Young Superboy is already having a pretty bad day, and it only gets worse when he gets up to leave. Kenny Braveman starts hassling him all over again. The bully really did pick the wrong day, as Clark has to hold himself back from absolutely decimating this guy, which in turn only ends up making him feel that much more worse, and as such he opts to use his free period suiting up and going for a fly around the world to try and clear his head. Though unfortunately, Clark still has himself a stalker in the form of Captain Comet, who says that he's going to use this free period to teach Clark a lesson. And not even in like a hey, let's take this slow, go at your own pace type thing. No, Captain Comet really believes in a trial by fire approach, as he summons up a massive cloud of locusts and sends them directly to Smallville. Normally that wouldn't be a huge problem, but this is farm country, and if these bugs have their way, they could destroy the year's whole harvest. Superboy tries to use his amazing powers to get the locusts to disperse, but quickly he realizes that none of the old tricks are going to work in this situation. Eventually, though, he does zero in on the idea of what exactly it is Captain Comet is trying to teach him right now, and that is he can't brute force every single problem. He shouldn't come at this as a guy with superpowers when he instead should be coming at it as a farm kid. After all, Clark actually knows a fair amount about Locust, how they follow particular sound cues and how they actually slumber in different climates, so all Superboy has to do is lead them out of Smallville by giving them a proper sound to chase and then eventually just letting the problem take care of itself, which is exactly what happens. Overall, this seems like a pretty solid good day of superheroing, and Clark was even able to get his groove back by the end, only here's the problem. You see, as it turns out, Captain Comet was only telling half the truth before at Kent Farm. No, he's not a spy, but he does work for the government. Specifically, General Sam Lane, who used that whole locust test right there to try and evaluate his abilities as the comic comes to a close. And so that was Action Comics issue number 1089, everyone, and overall I thought this was another really enjoyable outing for Superboy and Mark Waid. This issue especially really makes use of the fact that this is an older Superman telling a story about an earlier time in his life, and because of that we really end up benefiting from hindsight. Like, I imagine some people aren't gonna love the idea where it's like, oh, Superman isn't even the first DC superhero anymore, oh, Superman's not even the first alien trying to save a world with amazing powers. Yes, all that is true, but as we know from the future, Superman does end up beating the odds, becoming the greatest DC superhero of them all, and avoiding all the pitfalls in ways that those other all-powerful young alien superheroes never did. I'm also really enjoying how Mark Waid is using Captain Comet in this story. He's not a traditional friend and mentor, he's not even a traditional antagonist. He clearly fears Superman, seems to think the government has a point in fearing and wanting to control him too, but at the same time, he's also very clearly getting a kick out of testing the kid, and I have to wonder if he will be forced to choose down the line. Overall, I think I feel comfortable giving this one another very positive 8 out of 10. I wasn't sure how invested or how long I would actually enjoy what is essentially another Superman origin story, but leave it to Mark Waid to hit all the right buttons. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.